Hi everyone, it's Laura from Laura's Handcrafted Treats and Treasures. Welcome to or back to my channel. Today is stamp play day. I'm excited. I've been wanting to do this for a while. I have all these beautiful stamps. I have my favorites that I use all the time, and then I have a couple new ones I got. I have some I don't use, so I just want to play. This is one of the newer ones I got. I thought that might be fun. So I've just gotten an array of stamps out. So I'm going to move these to the side. See if I can keep them at bay over there. And then I have my stamping platform ready to go. I have another little stamping platform because I want to use, let's see, here it is. I've seen Gail Augustinelli do this, and I think I want to do this too, where she puts all these stamps on like paper or whatever she's done. This is the way I'm going to use it today, but obviously I would, not obviously, but I would use it in a different way, the way she did it too. Anyway, but if you put them all on this platform and then you stamp, then you can just cut them all out at the same time. So I thought that would be fun. I'm going to pick out the ones I would most likely use. And then over here, I have my pad ready, my cleaning pad ready to go. I usually don't use anything more than just the water. I need to get a new one. It's getting pretty bad. And in here I have offcuts. So I save a few offcuts. This is dedicated to that. And I just did some reorganizing. So this is dedicated to offcuts. And then I thought it would be great to do some of my scripture stamps. And then I could just cut them and have them at the ready. So we've got that. We might start with that one. Now here I have some different papers. I've done this before, and it really works out well. But let's start with the back one. So this is a photo paper, and I might have to use the Stays On. Although I believe there's another ink. It might be the VersaFine or Archival. I don't know. I'm going to try them. I'm going to try that on there. Then this is actually, this is a full sheet, a full label sheet of Avery. So this is sticky. It's Avery label sheets. So it's sticky, and I thought, let's stamp on here, maybe use this one, and then that way we can cut out the little pieces and they'll be out on stickers and ready to go. This one is also a label sheet, and this one actually, I don't want to peel it, but it actually has the labels and they're transparent. So they're clear. And I just ran this through my computer or my printer. I just picked out some background papers for all of these. These were meant to go through the printer, so I thought that'd be fun. And then I have the same thing. These are more labels, but these are the 6. They're 6 by something. And I thought, okay, I could, I'm just going to stamp all over and let the cards lay where they may. I had another little piece left over, so I thought I might do some stamping on that. I might do that label. And then this was another transparent one. So like I said, I just ran backings to each of these. So I think that'll be fun just to play. And I'm ready to play. First of all, I'm going to do some of the offcuts. And let's just do some scripture stamps. Now, I'm not going to spend time cutting all of them up. I'm just going to actually do some stamping. So let me get my stamps out. Let me reference my my stamp sheet of which inks go where, and then I'll be right back. I've dug into my idea book because this is where, I keep all of my ideas. And this is, I wrote all this down, and I'm going to leave it right there so that you can maybe get a screenshot of it. I could never remember the inks. I know I went back to the video that May did many times, and I thought, you know what, I'm just going to write this down. One of these days I'll actually print it up. So Memento, it's a dye ink, dries faster, will not move with alcohol markers, will not move with water. Then the VersaFine is a pigment ink, stays wet longer. So I don't want to use that one on the photo paper because I don't want it to smudge. Let's see, moves. This one moves with alcohol marker, will not move with water. It's a finer, richer, crisper image, and it is. I do like this one. The Versamark was for embossing, and then the Distress ink moves with water, and it's darker. And then the Distress Oxides do pretty much the same thing, different colors, but this is a softer color. I wrote that these were the ones I wanted to choose for like inking edges and stuff, and it's a reactive ink like to water. So it looks like I'm gonna use the VersaFine for everything except, or what do I have sitting here? I have the archival too. I gotta check that one out. But the VersaFine and the Memento is usually one I always use. So I'm gonna use the Memento and probably the photo paper. The VersaFine I'll use on the other stuff, and because it won't move, so that's good. All right, so we've got that underway, and now let's just get some papers out here. And like I said, I'm going to try to use some of the inks I have not used in the past. So I have all of my stamp blocks right in my drawer here. I'll just get a couple out because I can always grab them. One thing I always like to do as well is have a book handy so that I can stamp off on the book first, then use this. It saves it from getting super dark. I also have some sprays if I need to get the ink off. So I do try to take very good care of all of my ink pads and my ink, my stamps, because they're not cheap. All right, so I'm just gonna grab a few of them in here, and then let's see. Let's get over here somewhere, and then I think I said I was going to use the VersaFine. So I've used this one before, but I must have cleaned it so well you wouldn't know it. But it doesn't look like I've used it, so I'm going to... Now sometimes these get stuck in here, and I have found that if I just take my bone folder and sort of get up underneath there, I can get it loosened up without ripping the package. I do like to keep things in their original packages. All right, let's do You're the Salt of the Earth, the Light of the World. All right, let's do a couple of those. And what I'm going to try to do is not think about it too much, but do a little bit, you know, on different types of paper and then move on. I'll do a couple of each. So let's find a block that this fits. Another thing about stamping, if you're new to this, you want to find the block that fits the stamp the best. That's why I have several of them, because sometimes you have a tendency to get it on the side here and then it comes off on your work, and that's no good. All right, so I'm going to go ahead, and then when you stamp, you're going to go just straight up and down. Okay, you don't want to wiggle, you don't want to move it. Some people do this, I don't. I just do this. And before I make my first stamp, now these are just cut-offs, or, you know, so if I didn't stamp it good, I'm okay with that. But anyway, I would stamp here, have I loaded that that ink on there everywhere. If you don't want a bright stamp, stamp off first, then stamp, and then you get a softer color, which I might do when I get to the bigger papers. But for this one, I do want a vibrant stamp. So I'm just going to bring this one in, and then I'll go ahead and, now when I stamp, I like to then take a die cut and go around it. See how I got stamp on that right there? Or I got ink. I like to make enough room. So this is probably the only one that's going to go on here, because what I like to do is once they're stamped, I'm going to take a die cut and then go and then cut it out, like something like, you know, like this. And then I'll match up one of my dies, and then I'll die cut that out. Then I'll put them in a little folder that, you know, is all of my little sayings. Okay, so I'm going to do this. Now remember, this one's on the sticky paper. I'm going to save the other papers for something else. This is just, I wanted to maybe do something different. So see, I have a little room over here. We might run into another stamp. I'll go ahead and do that one. Let's bring in this piece of paper. I mean, I can always just cut it down into a square. Don't have to have the die cut. Or circles. You can do circles. Okay, so 1, 2. Let's just do 4 of each one that I picked to do. So there's another one. Okay, then again, what I would do is bring my book in, stamp that off as good as I can. Then I'll use my stamp pad or my cleaning pad and try to get that as good as possible. And then I never put these away wet. But like I said, this is getting old, so let me grab my cleaner. This is pretty old, but should grab a new one of these. This I've had for years. I think I've talked about it before when my cousin passed away. Okay, and you can use baby wipes too, but make sure they're like scent-free and scent-free, and then like no lotions and stuff like that in there. I mean, I don't know that it would hurt it, and I'm sure many people use them, but if you want your stamps to last a long time, I just, in my brain, this is how I care for them. Okay, so I'm going to get that one out of the way. And then what else do we have in this pack that I could use? Let's see. He will be your everlasting light. He's the light, okay, that shines through. Yeah, let's do he will be your everlasting light. And then I'll move on to another set. All right, so this block, little bit small, it hangs over just a little bit, and you don't want that either, because then your stamp will be on the side and it won't catch. So I'm going to move this to a little bit of a bigger block. Now these blocks are from Stampin' Up. I love these. I've had other ones, the thin ones and stuff. They're hard to hang on to, but these have these little, I guess you call them little beveled edges, and you can just hang on to them so much better. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp off, especially when you're using a very new stamp. You want to stamp off a couple of times, because the stamp has to kind of get filled in there to do its thing. All right, so I'm going to go here. Okay, there's one. And then let's do this way. Oh, I want a wider sheet so I can get a die cut around it. There we go. And then let's see, do I have any more that's kind of different? Those are all kind of the same. I have smaller ones. Okay, I'm going to leave that as is and then move on to another stamp. So let me get this clean and I'll get the other stamp open. I won't torture you and keep you here for that, but we'll stamp a little bit more. Okay, I do use this one a lot. It does seem to be a go-to, as you can see. I have taken care of them, but I think I use StazOn with these, and that's harder to get off. So I'm going to go ahead and just pick that up. And if I was being more persnickety about, you know, I want it to be straight, if I was going to stamp on a page or something, I wouldn't just put it willy-nilly on there. I would line it up and put it on there nicely. So let's see, let's go that one. And then What a Friend We Have in Jesus. I'm going to move that one aside. And then I'm going to do another color. And then let's see. What else do I have? I had a bunch of these offcuts and then I got rid of them because I'm like, this is too many. That's why I'm using some of them up today. And this was exactly what I was using them for, or saved them for. So there we go. We have 3 of those. And let me just think. All right, then let's do Then Sings My Soul. Okay, I'm going to get this block back over here. Yep, and then stamp it up. This looks like a good one. But yeah, then I can cut these up, and then they're at the ready when I want to like decorate a prayer journal. They're just ready to go. So you kind of get the idea. I am going to go through and just have a play, and then I will come back and show you all the ones that I stamped, and I may die cut some. So I'm going to do that, and then we're going to come back and we're going to go to the full sheets because that's going to be fun. All right, I'll be back. So I've gotten quite a few of these done. I'm still playing, but I had to use I'm going to be using my stamping platform for the next one. So I thought, well, this is a great time to come on and show you. And then I pulled out a tag, and it's a little bit, I don't know if you can really see it, but I can still cut this out and then put it over top. So get your tags out, get all kinds of stuff out, and have a play. Another thing we are going to be doing is we are going to stamp on cloth, and we're going to stamp on, I've done this before, on these rolls. We're going to stamp on those, and then we're going to stamp on these. So these would be great to put into your journals. Anyhow, the one I want to do right now comes off of this one, and it's, you know, Jesus. I'm using the this one, and is mighty to save, and there's a bunch of different sayings, but I want them on the same sheet together. So this is great for the stamping platform. Before I actually put it on here though, maybe I'll just do the back side, because I want to make sure that my stamp is, you know, all juiced up for that. So these do come with 2 very, very heavy magnets. One is on the back. I never really use the second one because they say you can't put them together or they'll bust, and you have to like put one with tape or whatever. I've really never seen needed a use for it. So when you're putting these, you're going to put your flat side down on your stamping platform, same as you would a stamp. And then you're going to put, you know, kind of position it wherever you want it. And then when you get it where you want it, and this is great when you're doing cards because you can do multiple. The only thing you have to keep in mind is where are you laying that paper. So if I was doing a card, I would position it where I'm always laying the paper right here to where the card's going to be stamped, because then that way I know it's going to go, every time I put a new card in, it's going to go in the same spot. But I don't like to stamp down at this end. Now this has like a little mat underneath, and it also has just the measurements here, so you could stamp that way. But I use the little piece here, and I feel like I get a better stamp when it's over this way. Now if I elevated this up, I'm sure it would be fine too. So once you get it positioned where you want, you pull your platform over. In case you've never done this, if you have, you can just skip on by. And do you see how that pulled up a little bit? It's probably because I'm not using 2 magnets. But I'm going to pull it from this way. And then, or put my magnet that way. So once you have this over here, I also like to put something underneath of that. So we'll just do this. because that way when I'm stamping, it feels like to me it's not flopping around as much. I normally just use a case from my Stampin' Up, one of my Stampin' Up stamps. But all right, so we're gonna go ahead and again, when we're stamping, I don't know if I mentioned this, it's, you know, I did mention it. So just, and that looks like it's taking that ink very well. So I'm going to bring this back over. Another thing I don't think I mentioned, so when you're, excuse me, when you're stamping, you want to let that paper soak that ink in. So you don't want to do like a fast, quick, you know, boom, 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 boom. I mean, you can, but you're just not going to get a nice, as nice of a stamp. So even when you're doing them with your blocks, when you stamp, set it, and don't wiggle it, don't twist it, don't turn it straight down. Let the ink soak in straight up. So let's see how many, it came out just perfect. Now I can look at it and be like, okay, I think I want to move up the Mighty to Save just a little bit, but it's not terrible. So I'm going to leave it where it's at for now. And then I'm actually going to put another piece of paper under it just so I don't get ink on my mat here, just for my own sake. And then this, oh, see, I need to move this out just a little bit because of where it's going to land. That way I've got edges, you know, that I can cut off. All right, so let's ink that up again. Okay, and then press and let it fully soak in. There we go. So I'm going to do some more of these because I have some other here, and then I'll show you when I'm done. And this one I see is a little off kilter, but no biggie. I can just cut this out too. From this angle, it's a little bit hard for me to see, but yeah, I'm going to do some more of them, and then we'll come back. All right, in hindsight, another thing I should have mentioned, there's a lot to these stamping plates. I don't want to get too far into them, but say you wanted to stamp a row of the same thing. These come out and then you move them down. Or say you've already positioned your paper and you're like, I don't want to move my paper, but I can move my stamping plate. And then another thing I should have mentioned is, say I inked this, and I inked it and I just didn't get a good stamp. Oh, darn, you know, it's not ruined. That's what the stamping plate is all about, is, okay, I can just go back in there and ink that again, and then it's going to be exactly in the position which I left it. That's why you need these magnets, because if you don't get it right the first time, then you get it again. And see, I still, my Waymaker, I'm just going to ink that bottom because it's a newer stamp. And I didn't ink off on it first. So I'm gonna do that again. And I'm just really gonna press it on there. And then I get a better print. So I just wanted to come on there and let you know that as well. All right, as you can see, I have a lot of them done. There's some edges here I could finish up, but there's a lot in there. And then I just have a few more over here that I'm probably going to do some butterflies and stuff on. But now we're getting to where I wanted to do some of these, because in this stamp set, it has, you know, Have Thine Own Way, Lord, How Great Thou Art, Victory in Jesus, Amazing Grace, Love Lifted Me. So these are perfect sizes for these. And I have some other stamps too, like here. So I could put, like, you know, a door together, you know, stuff like that. But I'm going to do this first. And then I'm going to do a little bit on this strip. So before I do that, I wanted to mention I had to go online and kind of look to see what is the best thing for fabric, like a cotton fabric. And the archival ink, the jet black, came up. I think I could use the StazOn, obviously, as well, but I'm going to be using this one. It's not like it's going to be washed. It's just going to be put into a book. So let's do these first. So I'm going to go ahead and ink this up. Now, I always feel like I get two shots with this. I get one where, you know, if it's wonky, I can turn it over. So it'll be glued into something, but I have two shots. Now I'm going to have to pull this towards me a little bit, and I'm hoping you're still in, yeah, it looks like you're still in frame, but in order for me to see, I'm going to have to do that. And I closed my shade because the sun is kind of puts a shadow across there, but I think I'm going to open that back up too, because the sun has gotten to a spot where it's not quite as strong. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and I might have to put my head in here, but I'm going to look just straight on top of it, and I'm just going to try to find that middle on either side, and I don't think I did. Let's see. No, see, it's wonky. So I have one more shot to get that. Maybe if I do this, because now this would be great for the Stampin' platform too, but I'm not quite sure the magnet would hold that. So I'm going to give it another try. I mean, I've had these around forever. If they come out wonky and I don't use them, it's not really that big of a deal. Oh, see, I got a bunch of ink over there because I broke my rule. I wiggled. All right, let's try this one more time. Now this one is, I'm just gonna hold it there. I'm not really gonna press super hard because I don't know how it will absorb. Oh, I was gonna, no, that was the other one. Never mind. Yeah, I got that one much better. So I'm not gonna do any more right now. I'm gonna let that sit and dry and see if that comes off. Then I'll know I need to use the StazOn, and I might try it with the archival too. So let's just get that out of the way. From the looks of the paper from the back of it, it's probably not going to work. So now I'm going to bring in the archival, and let's see. Let's just do the same one. All right, archival, let's get that one out of the way. And let's do How Great Thou Art. And again, this is, I've talked about this before, it's just an old tablecloth. It is coffee dyed. I run these strips and then I just coffee dye them. So you might have to see my head again. I'm gonna try to get that in the middle and then see how that comes out. Okay, cool. I like it. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and ink the rest of that with these other ones. And then obviously we have this one. I might try the StazOn too, just to see if I get a darker print. Let me see if I can find my StazOn. Okay, I just have to get my head in there, and I'm trying to keep my head out of the frame. So where is my StazOn? Hang on a second. All right, I found it. So let's do that again. And I'm gonna change this out for another one. How Great Thou Art. And then, of course, this little tiny block works perfect for that. Now remember, your StazOn is going to be a little bit different. I keep this covered in another container where it's not going to dry out, hopefully. All right, so yeah, I don't know, it might be dried out. No, it's good, but let me try it over here. Okay, that looks good. And then let me try one here. I want to leave it far enough apart so I can rip those edges. Again, you might have to see my head in the shot. Okay, let's see. Okay, I don't think it did any better than that one, so I would probably just stick with the archival, but I do like it. And then let's try one on there. This has like a weird, I don't know, it's almost like a sweet smell. It kind of smells like candy. I don't know, does anybody else use this? And I mean, I kind of like the smell, but I'm not going to be like sitting around sniffing ink or anything, but at least it's not offensive. So, all right, I'm going to pull this back down here where I can see it. Excuse my head if it's in the camera. It is what it is. All right, let me see if I can line that up. All right, and I'm going to press that down. Oop. Oop, there we go. Oh yeah, that looks great. I'm going to bring this one back over because if this is going to dry, it's had plenty of time. And yeah, that dried okay too, as long as you leave it alone, you know. But I like the sharpness of the StazOn much better. Because look how this one kind of ran. Now, what did I use? See, I should mark these. I think this was the archival. StazOn, I love. And, or did I use the VersaFine? Oh, goodness gracious. Like 2 minutes has passed and I can't even remember. All right, so I'm going to use the StazOn and do some more of these because I really like them. And then we're going to move on. I've had a really fun play with this. I want to keep going, but now I'm going to move on to the big sheets because I think that's going to be really fun. So stay tuned. All right, I've completed stamping the cloth. I might do more of that at a later time. I have tons of fussy cuts or die cuts to do in here. So I'm going to set that aside for on a day when I just can't do anything or have a mind block, then I can work on those. And then these are the ones I did with the StazOn. Definitely I need to make myself a note that the StazOn works better for wood as well, because this is quite you know, blurry. And I need to figure out which one I used. I'll have to go back and look at the video and see which one I used. And I will make myself a note of that too. That one I'm throwing away. So I do have one more. So if I used the archival or vice versa, I'll try it on this one. But so far the StazOn has it. So I'm just going to set those in there for now. And then I've put away any stamps I'm not using. I have actually had, this is all I have left from all of those offcuts that I have. So I'm going to leave them out because I am now going to cover my desk and we're going to get to those big sheets. So this is going to be a little bit different but fun. I totally enjoyed what I just did. So anyway, let's move on to the bigger sheets of paper I showed you at the beginning. Okay, this video got way too long. It was like almost an hour and a half. So I'm breaking it down into 2 parts. So this is going to be stamp play 1 and part 2 will be out after this one. But I did get the fabric done, so that's going to be cool. I did get these done. That one that was smudged I threw away, but then I found another one of these. So I'm keeping them where I can see them, so I'll use them. Then I went ahead and used my die cuts and did all these. This was just a couple extra things from my die cuts. And then I fussy cut out the other little like notepad things. I still have a little bit more to do, some more die cuts and that. But anyway, we're going to leave it here for now. And then join me in part 2 where we're going to get to the paper. All right, bye.